I've been working on completing all of the best cartoon games, and for today we're going back to 2006 to beat the first ever Family Guy game. And although I've never played this game before, it quickly became one of my favorites. And with the addition of fan-made achievements, not only am I going to 100% the game, but I'll also be enduring through plenty of painful challenges while doing so. So let's get into Family Guy video game. Would it really have killed him to put a "the" somewhere in there? Now this game starts off with Peter watching Mr. Belvedere, which I'm not old enough to know what that is. But in the meantime, Stewie of course has some plans.
This is a day to remember, Rupert. My mind control device is complete. As soon as I broadcast my commands over the fat man's satellite dish, I shall be the most powerful dictator since Dick Cheney.
But then Bertram appears.
I'm here for one thing, and one thing only, Stuart. Your satellite dish.
And with that, we spawn into Stewie's room, where we have to go through the top floor of the house collecting bolts, which is what we'll use to upgrade Stewie's ray gun. We also get to test out Stewie's mind control gun to get my first achievement.
What's in this closet?
Holy crap, don't want to go in there. Or there, I guess. Brain damage, my first achievement. But also while using the mind control, I'd have to chase Brian out of the house with the vacuum, which in turn gives us our exit, where I get my last bolt to activate the ray gun. And then we get to have a little fun shooting through all the enemies and even taking down a chopper.
Oh God, my lawn! That's not what I meant by a bush cut.
And here's where we get introduced to our first mini game. Mostly every level has one, and for this one I'd just have to simply shoot the target, which I didn't do. But here's what it would look like if I did do it. Yes, I got it. Hook, line, and sinker. I almost failed it twice. And then to finish off the first level, I just had to hop across the roofs to reach Bertram. Sibling rivalry.
How dare you defy me?
I'd rather the dish be destroyed than have it fall into your hands.
And well, just for good measure, he decides to blow up the satellite dish once more and it lands on Peter, sending him to the hospital, which is now where we need to go to find Bertram.
I have no choice but to shrink myself down and infiltrate his lair within the fat man's testicles. Gross.
But the hospital starts off pretty simple, just shooting through all the nurses and learning about bullet ricochet. But then the real fun part is the platforming section. You see, at the time, I didn't know if there was a certain amount of bolts in the game, so I was making sure to get every single one of them in sight, since I'll need to get a total of 700 by the end, which definitely took up a lot more time than needed. But for now, just in this level, I was able to get to 100 for my first upgrade. Dialed in. Acquire the ray gun's bolt power upgrade. Oh, it's green now. There's also this pretty funny part where you have to jump on pregnant women's bellies and shoot out babies of all kinds. And while doing so, I'd have to pop out 3 little quagmires. There we go, quaglets. But after making my way through a few more sections and grabbing all the parts I needed, I made it to the end of this level. Some assembly required.
Hidden pornographic scene viewable by pressing up, up, down, down, left.
Wait, what? What were those? How do I do it?
Horny gamers believe anything.
And now it's time to play as our second character, Brian. And it seems he's gotten Seabreeze pregnant, and so Carter gets him locked up in prison.
And he's not Caucasian. Oh! I'm not the father, Joe. Unless you can prove that, Brian, we gotta lock you up. Damn it, a speed bump. Who's the wise guy that put this speed bump here? It's not funny!
So after getting away from Joe, we end up in the showers.
That's the second most disturbing thing I've ever seen.
And so for this minigame, I just had to spam 2 buttons and purry this reel. Pretty simple stuff. But since I beat it, I get to be invisible for a little while, which helps out because Brian's levels play way different than Stewie's. His missions are solely about stealth and learning the correct paths to go through without getting caught. But there's also another element, and that's collecting certain items while doing so. And the very last section of this level gave me a taste of just how difficult some of these could get. It took me quite a while to get the hang of moving around properly and not getting caught. And after about 10 minutes or so, I had finally gotten it down. Give me those files. That took me so long. There we go, there we go. Home free. Yes, I did it. Exhibit A, good boy. So now we're back to playing as Stewie in the hospital, but this time everything is covered in fat that we have to slide through, which brings us to what would be one of the absolute hardest achievements in the game. Well, for me anyways. You see, I had to make it from one end of this hallway all the way to the other end without touching the ground, which involved actually being able to land on these spinning islands that go way too damn fast. And not only once did I have to land on them, but once you get all the way through to the end, then you have to do it again. Alright, here we go. No! And since I was still new to the game and I didn't have the controls fully down, this was way more painful than it should have been. Just being able to land on the first one was a 1 in 10 chance already, and then trying to get to the last one just never ever worked. Oh, and I can't forget to mention just how terrible it is trying to slide around and get all the way back to restart. I mean, that was a struggle all on its own. And I'm not lying when I tell you this took me a full 45 minutes of non-stop attempts, failing halfway, failing at the end. It sucked, but oh boy was I ever happy once I actually finally got it done. I did it! Oh my god, I did it! Oh my god, I did it! I sat there and timed it for like 30 seconds. This took me 45 minutes. The Flora's Lipoma. That took me 45 minutes. Holy shit. Now that is definitely not the last of the sliding in this game. There's a lot more to come. But after solving this little crematory puzzle, I was thrown right back into another difficult achievement. And for this one, we have a weird little Space Invaders ripoff. And not only did I have to get through it, but I had to do it unscathed. Not a single hit. And I mean just look at everything flying towards me. And to make things better, there's also 3 waves to go through here. But honestly, it wasn't too hard comparatively to the last part, and it only took me about 4 attempts to get a good path down to get my next achievement. No way, I did it! Syringe Showdown. But finishing that off also gets me to the final room in this level, where I have to pull the plug on someone so I can spawn in Death and mind control him to take out all the nurses, which Stewie is pretty excited about.
This calls for a sexy party.
So all I have to do here is stand on the star in time and I get smooth moves. Well, that was super easy. And I also get this for finishing the level. Not today, Death. And now since there's no nurses around Peter, Stewie shrinks down and goes inside him. But also right then, Peter wakes up and sees this.
Belvedere! That's it! Mr. Belvedere has kidnapped my family and for some reason wants me dead.
So that brings us to our third and final character that also has a whole new play style. For Peter's mission, we have to go around beating up every single person in sight, such as Grandma here. I also got an achievement for punching this guy with really long arms. Got nothing on Al Harrington. But the whole level is just non-stop beat 'em up and healing, while also learning some new moves, such as this spin attack, which is what all the food that's dropped is used for. But after going through 10 minutes of kicking through kids and beating everyone up... Oh god, okay, yep. Maybe don't punch God, I guess. I made it to the final clan boss and beat him to get the mini game here. And literally all I had to do is spam 2 buttons to open this can of tuna. Chicken of the Sea. Which also completes that level. Shuck around and find out. And so now it's back to Brian for level 6 out of 22 total. And it actually starts with a mini game right off the bat. Oh, why is he trying to grab me? Stop trying to grab me. Is this a mini game? Oh, it is. Voter fraud. Win the vote minigame. So since completing the minigame makes me go invisible, the first room was a piece of cake. And it also gives us access to disguises, which in this case is a lampshade. It does make it way easier to get through though, since I can just stand still if they see me.
Hey, who put that lamp here?
But once we find Seabreeze, Brian takes a whiff and comes to this conclusion.
Tom Tucker. Maybe he's the father. Gotta get to Channel 5 and find some proof.
So that will be our next level with Brian. But for now, I still had to escape the station, which brings in yet another obstacle. If I stay too close to any of these trees and the meter fills up, well then Brian stops for the longest piss ever and it gets me caught.
Hold it right there, Brian.
But after many failures, I finally got the path down and got to the exit to get this. Yes, sniffing out the truth. Now from there we pick up right where we left off as Stewie, inside of Peter's stomach, which involves a lot of platforming to get to the other side. And of course there's an achievement for getting across without touching the acid. And since I was trying to get all of the bolts along the way, that didn't work out too well. Although I did get enough of them for my next upgrade, so that was cool. Let them cook. Oh, damn it, I fell in because I was looking at that achievement. And since I kept falling in while getting the bolts, I decided it would be easier to just get across unharmed for my achievement than come back for them after, which worked out perfectly and got me across first try. There we go, the floor is acid. Then after collecting the rest of my bolts, we were on to the next area, which brings us back to sliding, which is definitely a lot more fun here than being stuck in those rooms bouncing off everything. Here it's just a straight shot through. I mean, besides all the obstacles that kill you, I guess. But once I got through here, I made my way into the lung for my next mini game, in which Stewie just tries to buy a death ray. Little big man. There we go. Now the lung actually has some really cool platforming that relies on the breeze going in or out of the lungs, and it's also quite the ways up to get out of there. But getting out of there brings us to another slide that is a lot harder this time. You've got the obstacles, some ramps to go off of, and even enemies shooting at you the whole time. And seeing as I was still collecting every bolt in sight, I was able to get 300 already for my second upgrade in this one level. Through and through. That's a sick upgrade. But from there, I just had to take out a whole bunch of Loises, and then I just had to score a few touchdowns so I could take the bloodstream down to his nuts. Anatomically incorrect. So now we check back in with Peter for some more beatdowns. I even got to punch out Herbert. And then there was also this terribly long memory game in the porta potty that I kept failing, and I actually had to write it all down to get it correct. But that's also when one of the most horrible things in my whole playthrough happened. You see, right after the porta potty, I reloaded my save, which in turn made it so a bunch of cop enemies just wouldn't spawn. And to progress, I needed to beat them up. I tried reloading back a few times, I tried restarting the game, but nothing. I was completely soft locked, leaving me with only one choice: to start the game over again. So sadly, that's exactly what I did, redoing everything I had already done. And all just so I could get all the way back to the same spot, just so this invincible cop could beat the shit out of me. And as you can guess, that screwed my game and soft locked me again. There's no way, bro. I just did this whole game again just for this shit to happen again? I wasted a good couple hours doing this. So once again, I restarted all the way from the beginning. But this time I figured out a weird way to manual save, where you had to turn autosave off and on again. So I made sure to make extra saves once I got all the way back again. And once I did get there, I was finally able to progress. Yes, it worked. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's such relief. Oh my god. I played through that 3 times, man. I'm so glad I didn't give up, but holy crap, I was so close. But I was so happy to just be making progress again, and I zoomed through the level to get my next mini game, which involved, this. Apex Predator. Holy crap. And that also finishes off the level. Finally. Now back to Brian at the news station, and for the first area I had to get a cheerleader outfit to sneak inside. Then once I did get in, I grabbed my banana suit and headed to the dance floor.
It's peanut butter jelly time! Where you at? Where you at?
Now this was actually one of the more difficult ones since I had to grab the 3 files, but if Brian was too close to women for too long, then he would just start going to town and fail the mission. And then the final area here was a pretty fun little conveyor belt ride while dodging death to get out. Oh yeah, and then a mini game where I had to chase this guy down and give him a sample. It's honest work, he just punches him out. But then finally, of course, the achievement for that level. And now we check back in with Peter, and he's at Cheesy Charlie's. And once he tries to enter, he gets knocked out by the door. And then we get introduced to this guy.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's Rufus Griffin, the soul brother who keeps things smooth and real and smooth.
So this is where Peter's levels start to get really long and have a lot of areas to go through, but still just the same old beat 'em up. And in the very first area here, I actually found some whack-a-mole to play. Ooh, I got a roast. Pied Piper. So including that, there's actually 3 mini games in this one single level. And the next one is actually really simple.
Damn! This is even more intense than that time I forgot how to sit my ass down.
Oh, minigame time. Sit. That's all I have to do is sit. Oh, what the? I failed at sitting. What happened? And well, here's how simple it actually is. There we go. Took a load off. But about halfway through the level, Peter opens the wrong door and falls into Cheesy Charlie's hell. And all of the enemies are just a bunch of kids. I even had to use them to cross this snake pit. And then the third mini game here is literally just dancing as God. That's hilarious. Let there be victory. But the most wild part of this level is the boss fight at the end. All of a sudden, the ground crumbles underneath us and we have to fight off a whole bunch of Belvedere heads. Some of them beat you up, some of them breathe fire, and then some of them just latch onto you, which was actually really annoying. But then for the finale, a huge Belvedere head comes out. Holy shit. Did I just fight him? He ate me. Oh, he was supposed to. Okay. And after Peter finishes hitting himself in the closet, we get a sneak peek of his next level.
Looks like now you're over at the Indian Casino. I will see you there, my evil nemesis.
But that brings us back to Stewie to continue on through Peter. And I mean, it's basically the same as last time so far. We just had to make our way down through the right lung and then through a couple more slides, which I mean, of course, got even deadlier. But once we get to the bladder, it was back to platforming, and this time over a lot of urine. And yes, there's another achievement for getting across without going in. But also exactly like last time, I ended up getting another upgrade here. Let's go. Can't touch this. And then once I made it across without getting dunked in the piss, I got this. The floor is urine. But that's not all for this level. Not only did I have a slide race that I had to take speed boosts to win at, but we also run into one of the hardest achievements here. Well, not before this Helen Keller Marco Polo minigame where I literally just had to do nothing to win, like taking candy from a baby. But this achievement is another one of those Space Invader ripoffs, just a lot bigger and with the addition of a stupid amount of mines everywhere you walk. And instead of doing it without taking damage this time, I had to get through to the end door in under 90 seconds. And I mean, just being able to understand how the mines work took a while. Once you walk over them, they ignite and then blow up a few seconds later. But since I was timed, I basically just had to charge through them all and hope not to blow up. And although there is a few health packs around, getting to them wasn't too easy. And I mean, it definitely wasn't this first part that was the hardest, because once you get halfway through, the mines basically start instantly exploding as soon as you step on them. And dying and restarting was really annoying since I had to go through this mini game every single damn time. I also had this crazy run where I was 0.06 seconds away from getting it. Oh no. But my winning run didn't come until after a full 30 minutes of trial and error runs, all coming down to this, where I almost actually blew up and just barely made it. Okay, come on. Yes, I got it, I got it, I got it. Yes, spermicide. There we go. Now, believe it or not, there's still more to this level, although it's all just a lot of ricochet rooms I had to shoot my way through, which is pretty fun and all, but that finally brings me to the end of this level, Undescended. And now next up, we've got Brian, and we're still over at the news station, and it's actually a really quick one, with the first area giving me a bush disguise. And then although the second area was cramped, I actually had gotten everything and went through on my second try. And then area 3 was just going through a bunch of different dressing rooms to get 1 or 2 tapes in each. And I also got a Christopher Columbus minigame here where I had to blow on this boat. Oh, blow the boat, blow the boat. In 1492. And since that makes me invisible, I had a free run right to the end. But Brian ends up finding Tucker's boxers to realize he isn't the father. So next we're going to the dog track.
Seabreeze races there. It's a long shot, but maybe I could find something there to clear my name.
I'm standing here wondering who left a steaming 3-coiler on my desk. Perhaps I'll respond in kind.
So now we're off to that casino Peter was talking about, and he's got yet another new outfit.
Hey, you looking for a party? If you're looking for junk in the trunk, I'm a freaking SUV.
But this casino was actually pretty fun to play through. I mean, even though the enemies were way stronger here, but they also had funny voice lines like this.
Typical white man.
Or like this.
Always after the red man.
But there is one difficult part where I got trapped on this elevator ride and had to fight through a shitload of enemies. And also dodge arrows in between the enemy spawns. But beating that does unlock my next mini game where I just had to hit a disco ball. And only a few enemies and 1 priest later, I had reached the end. How wow punch out. That's a hilarious achievement name. But now back with Stewie, we have finally made it to Bertram's lab, which is also where I would run into another achievement that absolutely tortured me. Now this part is actually really fun to go through, except for the fact I had to do it without taking damage, which first off was just absolutely insane and seemed impossible at first. And then even once you do shoot all the enemies, this huge turret spawns that you have to destroy by charging your ray gun to shoot grenades. And then from there, you still have 4 more sections to go through. But the biggest problem was just getting past the first damn wave, since they were all so close, and I spent a good half an hour trying to do so. And even when I did, the turret seemed so difficult to destroy. But I did eventually find out you could just cheese it by shooting the turret with anything. I mean, it took a lot more shots, but it definitely worked. So as soon as I found that out, I was finally able to make it through to the second wave for my 3rd time in half an hour. But from there, I just stayed so far back that any of the shots couldn't even hit me. And after taking out all the enemies, then I would shoot out the turret and repeat the process wave after wave until I finally got through unharmed, all in one go. Oh my god, they both exploded themselves. Please tell me that's it. Please tell me that's it. Please tell me that's it. I'm so scared to go forward. Holy shit. Holy shit. Unwelcoming party. Unwelcoming is right. That was painful. Now from there, I just had to blow up a bunch of Bertram's cloning facilities, and I was right back into another difficult achievement. Well, it's supposed to be hard anyways. For the first time, I found something I excelled at. I had to slide all the way through this 3-part area while getting all of the checkpoints, and do it all without turning around once. And well, I did it my very first try. Oh, that looks like the end. Come on, please achievement. Yes, that is the end. Full speed ahead. Then once again, I had to blow up cloning tubes so I could make it to the minigame here, where Stewie imagines he's super big and I have to duck under a couple signs. The bigger they are. And since you get 10 bolts for completing a minigame, that got me to 500 for my second last upgrade. And the very last upgrade is actually right through the next door in the armory, where they have an absolute shitload of crates filled with 50 of each. Wish I would have known that. I could have saved a lot of time. But for the very last upgrade, I needed 700 bolts total. Yes, 700. Box 2. Now let's see what this crazy one is. Seeker missiles. Now to finish the level off, I just had to fight my way through this crazy daycare with what seemed to be unlimited waves of kids. Like these toxic ones that gas you and kill you and you can't even move. But once I'm done that, I get to the exit. Halfway to fratricide. And now we're back to Peter. Although they kind of cheaped out here and it's the exact same casino level as last time. Well, I guess there's one different thing here where I had to beat Gandhi in a hot dog eating competition. Hey, what the heck? Jeez, getting punched out by Gandhi is wild. Yes, I did it. A regular Joey Chestnut. But the level is just completely the same down to the elevator ride. Although they did at least admit it was cheap right here.
We couldn't afford another mini game, so how about pressing a button?
Push any button.
Yay!
That's it? Concentrate. I just pressed a single button. Also, the ending here is different. I'll give them that. We just had to beat up these twins in a fight for the next achievement. Slot machine smackdown. And then Peter gets hit in the head again and goes back to normal.
This is not over. To the ducks!
So on to another Brian level we go. And we're actually almost finished the game now, but I felt like a pro playing the Brian levels at this point, and I was just flying through them without even getting caught. And they got their budget back, I guess, because the next minigame is pretty funny. Slim Jim, I got him. But after zooming through like a ninja, I was able to finish that level off quickly. High stakes hound. So now it's finally time to reach Bertram. I just had to go through this crazy level first, and it starts off with a toxic slide where I have to make sure I'm grabbing health packs all the way down in order to stay alive. Please let me make it. If I don't get this, I'm dead. Holy crap, I got it. But beyond that, we end up getting this wild platforming section through multiple levels. Although I realized you could kind of just fly over most of it, so I got through there and finally found him.
Let's war!
Careful where you aim that thing. I wouldn't want you to miss and kill your best friend.
So now it's time to save Rupert. But of course we have one condition for an achievement. Take no damage. And of course that's way easier said than done. From the purple orbs that stay right on my ass the whole time to the electric floors that zap me if I'm in the wrong spot. And it didn't quite take me as long as some other ones to figure out, but damn was it tricky. And after about 20 minutes of retries, I had finally gotten my good run down. Come on, break already. Oh yes, come on, thank you. Teddy Rescuer and Toy Liberation Front. Let's go.
Oh no! Stewie has just destroyed my satellite!
It's time we duke it out. Mano a mano. Let's say the playground in 10 minutes.
Let's see. Here. Well, I could reschedule that. Let's say 30 minutes, but know that it could really be more like 45.
Excellent. I'll see you there.
And so the next level with Stewie is the Bertram fight. But for now, we still have a few more levels with the other characters, starting with Peter in his new outfit.
I am a robot ninja from the planet England, sent here to seek and destroy Mr. Belvedere and all who stand in my way. And I can do both regular chicks and robot chicks.
Now this suit doesn't actually give us any powers. I mean, we do have full stamina for our power-up now, but it's all just the same beat 'em up, just on the docks now. I even had to take out a couple of seals. But for the end of this level, we have this nonsense, where I had to collect the beer and not get hit by the swordfish. And I had to do that for a total of 3 waves of this without missing a beer, and also without getting hit by a single swordfish. And it was kind of easy, except for when the RNG made the 2 spawn inside each other, like so. But after about 15 reruns, the game decided to be nice to me finally, and I got through it. Come on. Is that the last one? Please tell me that's the last one. Yes! Beer battered. It also threw me directly into the minigame where I had to put my hand in the waffle iron for some reason. And then finally I got this one for completing the level. And with that, we're on to our final level as Brian, and we're finally entering the dog track, in which I had to use this hot dog man outfit to do so. And then because of our attire, we keep getting summoned to serve them out.
This is the scent. The culprit is here. But how do I draw him out? If I disguise myself as Seabreeze and win the race, maybe he'll come to me.
But this crazy guy ends up giving us some poison, and we enter the dogs area to put that poison in every single one of their bowls. Which definitely was a difficult area to navigate, but once I did get out of there, we get to enter the dog race. And I find it so funny that Brian just runs out on his hind legs. But since all the dogs are puking, we get a free stroll right to the end. Excuse me. Winner coming through, and I win! Only the lead dog has a decent view. And well, we finally find out who the father is.
And he is none other than Glenn Quagmire. What? Still less hair than a Greek chick.
Now this next level as Peter is kind of the same as the last, just on the beach this time, but it's also super short now because we have a crazy boss fight to get through at the end. So since I had my power-ups, taking out all of his health was literally just 2 attacks. But then to finish him is where I failed and spent about 10 minutes trying, since you had to press the button so fast. And I also thought I was supposed to be spamming each button, otherwise I probably would have done it a lot faster. And if you even give him a chance to hit you, you're basically just dead. He does crazy damage. But eventually I learned to just press the buttons once and got him down. Oh, did I get him? Let's go. And since we've already had a God minigame, here we get a Jesus one. Hallelujah. Oh, and we also get this. And then Peter finds this out.
Peter, there is no Mr. Belvedere. He's just a TV character that we can use because Fox owns the rights to him. You destroyed half of Quahog looking for something that doesn't exist.
Oh my God!
But it's finally the moment we've all been waiting for, the Bertram boss battle. And it all goes down throughout 4 different waves, with the first of course being the easiest. I just had to shoot all of his holograms here to reveal the real Bertram, and I'd get a chance to shoot him. And after doing that a few times, this happens.
Well, how embarrassing. How do you expect to rule the world if you're nothing but a big baby?
Yeah? Well, I got your big baby right here.
Oh, hey man, what the hell?
Who's the big baby now, bitch?
And so now we've got supersized Bertram, and to get a hit I would have to just constantly be shooting him in the feet whilst dodging his laser and his ground wave stomps. Then once I did hurt him enough, he'd start hobbling for my chance to grapple my way to the top of this playground, and then shoot him right in the head. There you go, that's 2 hits down. And then I'd also have to do that 2 more times all over again to get into the 3rd round. And this one was essentially the same as well, just shoot him until he's hurt. But this time I would have to climb up to the left side and platform my way over to the right and get up there to get the hit. But if I didn't make it in time, then I would get hit. And trying to jump across the monkey bars with the screen shaking was absolutely terrible. But the very last hit here also brings us to the very last round, which was just a lot of shooting and dodging the same moves until I would get the chance to shoot his ray gun. And so after 3 hits to break his ray gun, I finally take him down. That's 3 ray gun shots right there. Oh, he's shrinking. Playground certified. Defeat Bertram on the playground.
Mommy!
What? Oh, that is such a vagina thing to do.
Maybe so. But the fact is, I live to fight another day. Until next time, Stuart, I leave you with this.
Blast!
Now we actually have one more boss fight as Peter, because it isn't truly a Family Guy game without a chicken fight.
Wait. I already paid for this. Let's do this.
And this fight is basically the same as the Knights was, except here we have to repeat the process plenty of times over while rolling through to other places. From the prison, to the inside of a plane, to a falling raft in the sky, I was fighting the chicken everywhere. All until we got to this room filled with bombs where I finally get to finish off the game. Oh God. Yes, I did it. Holy crap. I did 2 in a row.
Oh, crap.
Oh my God, Peter! Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, Lois. In fact, I learned something today. You can't always trust your feelings. Especially after watching 5 straight days of Mr. Belvedere with no sleep, and while constantly getting hit in the head by a very coincidentally large number of objects.
Oh no, do I have to fight him still more? Okay, no, it's the end. Dropping to boom. Okay, let's go. I thought I had to fight him again. Let's go, man. Now that leaves only one single achievement left in order to get the mastery. And to do so, I had to play through the whole game over again, except without getting over 100 bolts. And not collecting the bolts was obviously super easy. Just getting through overwhelming areas like this was the only hard part to deal with. But I already had the whole game down and was able to speedrun to the end for my mastery. Here we go, the final hit. Come on, give me my mastery. He's shrinking. There it is, Toy Gunner, mastered Family Guy video game. That's so awesome. This game is way better than I expected it to be. I'm so happy to have finally been able to do this. So that was every achievement on Family Guy video game, and I actually really enjoyed it. I expected it to be pretty bad, but thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed, drop a like down below and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. You can even check out another one of my videos right here. But again, thank you for watching and have a great day.